Who would have thought 20 years ago you could come to a half-mile racetrack and see a crowd bigger than at any football or baseball game? Here we are, Bristol Motor Speedway. Wow. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 4th place. Little bump and run.
But you know, the guy that blew by there a few minutes ago was a 25 car. He just drove by that crowd, and he is long gone. He's got a fast hot rod.
There's Jerry Nadeau, the Danbury, Connecticut driver.
He was our fastest car in happy hour, too, you know. So right. he's dialed in.
And not only was he fastest in happy hour, we looked at his long run. He was fast 30 laps into a run.
Let's see who's quick here at the line. Tony Stewart, your leader. Jimmy Spencer. Nadeau a little quicker than Spencer. And Mark Martin. And Bobby Labonte. And Ricky Rudd, second fastest right there.
Well, there's guys that we haven't talked about all day that'll be in the picture about halfway on. Some guys just kind of ride around for about half this race. Stay out of trouble, then try to get going when the traffic thins out a little bit.
Well, we're at halfway next time by. Our Coors halfway recap of the race thus far. Robbie Gordon jumped the start, got himself a black flag. So Jeff Gordon led from the start and led 82 with the first 138 laps. Jimmy Spencer, who led 206 laps here in 1992 driving for Cale Yarborough, then picked up the lead. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Burton have each had a turn at the front, but we've been plagued with 9 cautions in the first half of this race.
When I had a car here that I was happy with and I liked the way it was running and driving and everything, I never worried about where I wanted to stay on the lead lap until halfway. And then things that you see, we're into a long run now, and this is when you want your car to be good.
Here's where Tony Stewart's going to have to really pick himself through lap traffic as he comes up on Bobby Hamilton.
Yeah, because these are good cars. I mean, Hamilton's running good. There's Bill Elliott right in front of him. Jeff Green. Outside pole sitter Robbie Gordon.
Now, they told the lap cars to stay up high. Now, they've got to work past the wounded car of John Andretti before Stewart will have a chance. He's got quite a bit of breathing room now, though, on Jimmy Spencer.
And, Darrell, this is actually, we just crossed the halfway point. This is the longest run these guys have had to see what their car really is. We're looking at Jimmy Johnson right now in the 48th. He's fallen back to 7th position. He's got almost 100 laps on his tires. He was last on pit road at 160. This is when the good handling race cars start to show up.
And this is when you better have the right pit strategy. They haven't had this many green laps in succession since happy hour.
Look at that car behind him. I don't think we've seen him all day long. Bobby Labonte, he started 32nd. He's moved up to 10th. 300th Winston Cup start today. He's never had a top 5 finish at this racetrack. He's never won a short track race, which is a track less than a mile.
You want to know why? Because he's such a courteous driver. He drives so cautiously that he gets himself in trouble by not going on sometime, I believe. And this is no criticism to Bobby. He's a great driver. But you got to keep forcing the issue.
You can be too courteous here.
He's a little too courteous sometimes.
Rookie Jimmy Johnson. There's his speed since the last restart.
There you're seeing 14 laps from lap 226 right there to 240. He's lost almost 4 miles per hour.
And now's when I was going to tell you that I was hollering at you about don't leave me out here on them old tires no more.
And this is when this race sometimes traditionally will have those long green runs. We're in the halfway point. Everybody's figured out, you know, I need to settle down here just a little bit.
All these races where there's a lot of cautions, they have a track, they have a history. If you go back and track cautions, you can almost predict how many there's going to be, when they're going to be to a certain degree, and then if there is going to be a long green run like we got here. I'm telling you, if you look at it year after year, you can see a pattern.
Let's go back to about 19th place. There's leader Tony Stewart, where Dale Jarrett, Ricky Craven, and Terry Labonte are racing. They're all on the lead lap from 19th on back. Mike Skinner, part of that battle. Then Dave Blaney, Kyle Petty, and Steve Park.
The problem with this group right here, Tony Stewart is only about 4.5 seconds behind them, so it's another one of those deals. Patient, but you have to go. You know that leader's coming.
Oh, yeah. I hate that.
Look for the leader. There you saw Mike Skinner, and there is Stewart, Dick Berggren.
Tony Stewart has over 100 laps on the tires that are on that car, and just a moment ago he keyed the radio and he told his crew the tires feel like they are brand new. The strategy from here is the same strategy they started the race with. Before the green flag, crew chief
year, Elliott Sadler did not take tires on his last pit stop, and that made the difference. He won the race on tires that had a lot of laps on them. How will it play out today? Stay tuned.
NASCAR Winston Cup Series presented by UPS is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. Eating good in the neighborhood. Applebee's. By UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR. We want to race the truck. People love the truck. And by Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Are you ready for a cold one?
25 laps past halfway. Tony Stewart leading Jimmy Spencer and Jerry Nadeau.
Hey, 34,000 horsepower. How about let's crank it up?
How about that?
Hung up the traffic. Tell you another that's hurting if they don't get a caution. He's getting passed by a lot of cars.
Mark Martin backing up. A couple of drivers seem to have lost the handle as we're in this long run here.
Yeah, there's just several guys that they need a caution because they're, you know, that off sequence thing that we've talked about a couple of times is going to end up biting them.
Need one, don't want to be one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting up there close to 120 laps on some of these guys' tires right now, and they're really starting to slip sliding around.
And really and truly, for Tony Stewart, he'd probably like to see a caution fall periodically as well, you know, with the injuries he has. But I got to tell you, there were times when I was injured that I drove some of my best races because I did extra things, took extra precautions to be sure that I could make it.
We need to document that Johnny Benson is back on the racetrack after being in the garage for 112 laps, as well as Ryan Newman, 64 laps down. So the only cars that are in the garage right now of the 43 that started, Joe Nemechek and Dick Trickle.
A look from Benson. They put a new deck lid on the back of his car and no sheet metal to surround it. Whoa, there's Newman.
We got trouble.
Dale Jarrett. Turn 4. And Robbie Gordon again gets the luck of the caution. He and Steve Park, Buckshot Jones, and Jeff Green.
I believe Green just barely made it.
Yep, they'll just get back to the caution ahead of Tony Stewart, the leader. 10th yellow flag of the day, lap 282, turn 4. Newman and Jarrett.
See what happened here.
Going down the backstretch right here. Jeff Burton in the 99 just drove her in there and got into the left rear of Ryan Newman. Dale Jarrett just trying to avoid it, spins the car but gets into Newman.
It's probably mostly cosmetic on the 88 car.
Well, that is the second great piece of luck for Robbie Gordon. A caution keeps him from going a lap down as we see this again. And the second piece of bad luck for Dale Jarrett, the second wreck that he could not miss.
Happened right around him. He just slid through it.
Now, we talked about being off sequence. Everybody on the lead lap will be on pit road now. This should put everybody on equal turf.
Looks like they're saying the 30 car did not get his lap back.
That dreaded sound of those tires squealing.
Steve in the back pits.
Like Dale Earnhardt Jr. says, the car feels pretty good. They debated making some stops just as he was coming down pit road. They debated a track bar adjustment, but instead they're just going to make a slight air pressure adjustment. 4 tires from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Done. Nick Berggren.
Well, Tony Stewart came on the radio. They're going to take 4 tires, clean the windshield, and for the first time, he said, I'm feeling sore. Tony Zibinelli, crew chief, said we're going to give you a cool drink of water. That'll solve the problem. Stewart has had a terrific race car all day. To Matt.
And Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer's in a 4-tire change. He says the car is very neutral as the 25 car's in also. 25 is tight. Spencer says his car is neutral on entry, but he can't get it to roll through the center like he wants. Good grip off. 25 is away. The 41's away. No adjustments for Spencer. The 19's blocked in.
Earnhardt Jr. wins the race off pit road ahead of Stewart, Spencer, Bobby Labonte and Kurt Busch.
Now this is the back pits right here. This is where Earnhardt Jr.'s pitting. It's the last pit at the end of the backstretch pit, so he can leave there. And even though he has to maintain 30 miles an hour, I don't know that he can get to that speed till he's almost to the front stretch pit. I see that little smirk on his face.
Hard to read the tack when you're going around the corner.
That's right. Hard to time a car through the corner.
But he wins the battle off pit road here.
Here's a look at it.
See if we can see how this happened.
Getting a little fresh air out the window.
Getting him a little air. I got you.
Hi, Tony.
I got you, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm having a good day. How about you?
215 laps to go at Bristol. We are working the 10th caution flag of the day. Welcome back to Bristol. The record for caution flags, in case you were wondering, is 20. It happened twice. And this race ran without a caution flag in 1971.
I believe Charlie Glotzback won that race.
I think didn't Cale win a race here, no cautions? Or no, Cale led all the laps. That's what it was.
And Charlie Glotzback won the race.
Yeah, that's right.
One to go for the restart. Dale Earnhardt Jr. first off of pit road, then Tony Stewart. Look what happened to Matt Kenseth. Came in 6th, got blocked in, came out 20th. And Casey Atwood came in 10th, went out 22nd.
See if we can see what happened here.
All right, there's Kenseth.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Skinner, the car had to back up.
He was in like that. Skinner was in like that, and he couldn't get out.
And they've made these pits bigger, but they've made them wider from side to side. They've not been made them longer. We're green flag.
Everybody on fresh tires. 211 laps to go.
Now, here's a problem I see. If you're a lap car, you start on the inside on the restart. How are you going to get up on the outside to get out of the way?
Going to be in the way, trying to get out of the way.
Well, that's exactly what's happening to Jeff. He can't get out of the way because he had to restart down on the bottom. All thing he can do is go down on the apron.
And that was the smart thing to do there. Only way to get out of the way.
And they did. They worked on his car and they made it a lot better. He's able to maintain some pretty good lap speeds, but not with these guys on fresh tires.
Riding with Rusty, just behind there, Jerry Nadeau, 7th and 8th place. Rusty riding 7th. Ford no boundaries moment. He leads all active drivers with 24 short track wins, 9 of them here and 7 poles here. Leads all active drivers on the short track. Stick Berggren.
And he has always been good here at Bristol, Mike, all the way back into his ASA days. He set a world stock car record at this racetrack. But right now, today, at the moment, the concern in Rusty Waller's pit is potential overheating. They have ripped all the tape off the grill. The radiator got as high as 230. They're hopeful it doesn't get any higher than that.
And that's a product of just beating and banging. You beat that grill opening closed, and you just can't get enough air into the radiator when you're running bumper to bumper like we do here.
And we've seen earlier where they was taking tape off the front of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s cars. What we have to remember, these guys, they never practiced in ambient temperatures like we have today. Plus, as hot as it is, will make these cars run a lot warmer anyhow.
I was thinking about the fans. How would you like to talk to your buddies and say, yeah, be sure to bring a jacket? And you got here today, and I thought you said you needed a jacket. That's East Tennessee up in the mountains for you.
Earnhardt Jr., Stewart, and Spencer, 3 cars that have been at the front all day. But here's Bobby Labonte in 4th and Kurt Busch in 5th. New names toward the front.
I was just watching Kurt Busch, and I think this all has been stimulated from Jimmy Finney making some gutsy calls in the early part of the race. They started in 27th, pitting on the backstretch, kept him out there, got that track position. They got exactly what they needed a while ago, that long green run, to get that track position and on equal ground with everybody. And Darryl, we had him on a show the other night on the Speed Channel Friday night, and he says, I've just not figured this place out yet.
And put all the transitions out yet.
Angles.
Labonte also is pitted on the back straightaway in this, his 300th Winston Cup start.
And that Jeff and I were talking about that in a pre-race show there about think, and he said 3 times, he's right. Think driver, think crew, think everybody.
Rusty Wallace 6th, Jerry Nadeau 7th. They continue to run nose to tail. Matt?
Mike, on his last pit stop, Jerry Nadeau came in second, but went out 9th. The problem, Tony Ham had trouble with a lug on the right rear, and that slowed down the stop, a 17.44 second stop. No changes, though, for Nadeau. To Steve.
Matt Sterling Marlin was loose early in this race. In the last stop, he was complaining of being tight, so they put on 4 tires, and they went up around on the track bar. Sterling Marlin has never won at 34 starts here in Bristol.
Thanks, Steve. Kind of surprising, Darryl, with his style that he doesn't have a short track Winston Cup victory.
Yeah, you would think so. Particularly he and Glover, Tony Glover working together. I mean, they've had a lot of opportunities. His short track experience from Nashville. Won a lot of races there in late model cars.
He did win a Busch race here 2 years ago, March of 2000.
Marlin in 9th place, the Winston Cup point leader. Coming in here over 99 points ahead of Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth, Rusty Wallace, and Jimmy Johnson. 2 rookies in the top 5 in the points.
And we look at his telemetry, he's just turning about 8,500 on the straightaways, down to about 6,400 in the corners. Right here, 8,500. Into the front stretch. It's about the same, which this racetrack is fairly symmetrical.
Yeah, the thing about it is that tells me that he's got a fairly high gear in the car. That is a friendly, it makes the car easier to drive.
Put that throttle down.
Yeah, it doesn't try to spin the tires so easily.
Tony Stewart, a tense moment, trying to lap past Ryan Newman, got under Newman. Had to get out of it as he slipped up the racetrack.
I mean, Newman got cut down in front of Dale Jarrett earlier and got this thing going like that.
That will allow Dale Jr. to get away.
How many of us predicted that Dale Jr. would be out here leading this race the way he is?
Boy, Kurt Busch in the 97 drove right underneath Bobby Labonte in that 18 car going into turn 3. He's got a fast race car right
Well,
now.
you know why? Because Bobby saw that 12 car up there in the way. He's trying to get him a little cushion.
Oh, Marlin got loose, almost lost it. He may have cut a tire in 1 and 2.
I believe he did because something was happening to that car, it looked like.
One more.
He's got to go all the way around the racetrack. He's going to get on the apron.
He's got a tire down. That happens. Sometimes you get into somebody, you cut a tire down the right rear.
Steve?
Yeah, just to confirm what DW said, we heard him say it's the right rear tire. They're going to have to bring him off pit road.
You saw some sheet metal damage there around that right rear tire.
Boy, sometimes you can just bang into people in the wall and nothing ever happens. Then somebody just rubs up against you and cut a tire down.
He's going to go 2 laps down. Leaders at the start-finish line. Sterling Marlin's just at the exit of pit road. One more time, we're under green, so you don't have to do that whole lap of pit road. You can come in on the front stretch, go out on the front stretch, still maintaining 30 miles an hour.
Got a tire down. Side. One more. Clear low. Coming to you guys. Right to left. Clear. Right side, guys. Right side tires. 2 tires. Right side. 2 tires. 2 tires. 2. Sterling, what's the speed on that?
Well, will this end Sterling's string of 8 straight top 10 finishes? And will it change the point lead? Lots left to play out here in Bristol over the next 187 laps. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, presented by UPS.
NASCAR Winston Cup Series on Fox, presented by UPS, is brought to you by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR. We want to race the truck. People love the truck.
324 laps complete. Where you start has little indication of where you finish here in Bristol. Look at last year's race. Elliott Sadler, the winner, started 38. Nobody who finished in the top 5 started in the top 10. So let's move forward to right here at 324 laps in this race. And only one driver in the top 5, Jimmy Spencer, started this race in the top 10.
And a lot of it just came from pit strategy, especially with Earnhardt Jr., with Kurt Busch and Bobby Labonte. You know, getting off sequence, getting that long ring run we talked about, Darryl, and got that track position. That caution came out several laps ago.
Yeah, right along now is when you're really glad that you're doing that workout program, that you're in the gym and you're in good shape, because Now is when you start knowing what kind of shape you're in.
Jeff Green in the 30 car has a problem.
Yep.
Yeah, he'd been involved in an earlier accident and now going to come to pit road. No caution. First time that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led here. It's his 5th Bristol start. His best finish was 14th here last August. And he leads this race by 1.8 seconds over Tony Stewart.
You know, we talk about those top 5. 3 of those cars are pitting on the backstretch. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch, Bobby Labonte. Tip your hat to NASCAR for making the gamble and seeing if they could make this racetrack think it had one pit road. Trick it.
Ward Burton off the pace for the 2nd time today. He had been up as high as 4th.
But we've been a long way since they changed that battery. Just remember, the brake blower shorted out. Possibly if it killed the alternator and he was running off the juice of a fresh battery, he's already used that battery up and they'd have to change the battery again.
Tough day for the Daytona 500 winner. 5 races this season, 3 of them won by Dodge. That is quite a turnaround for Dodge in their 2nd year of their return to Winston Cup racing.
Well, then, yeah, they're in their 2nd year of their program. They've gotten there. The engines are better. The cars are better. The teams are, working better together. They got a pretty strong program going right now.
We was talking about Ward Burton a minute ago. Boy, Jimmy Spencer, Kurt Busch just got bottled up by him over there in turn 2. It like to have been big.
Yeah, he's just really, really slowing. Spencer had closed up on the back of Tony Stewart, but it's almost like Tony looked back and said, okay, better get going again. I'd say that Tony right now is just kind of, if he's in any pain, if he's having a problem, we're going to know it very shortly.
Kevin Harvick spun into the wall in yesterday's Busch race by Greg Biffle. And quite a shouting match. Not really a shoving and no punches thrown match after the race ensued between the 2 of them.
Yeah, he started 22nd. He's up to 7th position. This is the same car that he was leading with a handful of laps a year ago when he had a flat tire on the green. Ran 2nd in August. This is also the car that Dale Earnhardt won the Spring Atlanta 2000 race with. Good race car.
Dick Berggren.
I talked to Todd Bodine around lap 100 and asked if he was going to have to work today and take over for Tony Stewart in that number 20. He said, not with a car that's that good, he'll last all day. But Stewart called in just a few laps ago, said he's feeling sore. Bodine rushed to the truck, put on his driving suit. Right now they're fitting him with his harness and helmet. He may have to go in and finish the day for Tony Stewart.
Darrell, Tony has a lower back injury from the crash at Darlington. He was lapping Buckshot Jones, got spun into the wall, but what really hurt him was Jimmy Spencer rushed headlong into the right front, and Stewart's got a lot of pain in his lower back. And how will that especially affect him at this track?
Well, even when you don't have a lower back injury, that's just something that bothers you in a long race like this. You're pounding down in that seat. It's hard on your kidneys. It's hard on your lower back. So if he's already started with that irritated, that's going to hurt him. And like I said, this is a long enough green period now where if you're going to have a problem, you're going to know it now.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. now 0.7 of a second ahead of Tony Stewart.
Jimmy Boo.
We're under caution. Last year's winner will not repeat. Elliott Sadler has been crashed. Pit stops under caution. Earnhardt Jr. on the back, and Stewart leads him in on the front. Dick?
Well, just a moment ago, crew chief Greg Zivinelli came on the radio and asked Tony Stewart if he could make it all the way. He said there's 150 laps. There was silence from the driver's compartment. Stewart still in the race car. Come on.
4-tire change for Jimmy Spencer. No adjustments.
Earnhardt Jr. again wins the race off pit road, followed by Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Spencer, Bobby Labonte, Jeremy Mayfield, and Jeff Burton.
And we've got oil all the way around this speedway now.
It happened in the backstretch. Somebody got in the back of Elliott Sadler. I believe it was Kyle Petty.
A lot of times that left front corner, that's where you run your oil cooler. And he broke the oil cooler, broke the line off the oil cooler, and he strung oil all the way around the racetrack.
See, he was trying to get his lap back right there in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Of course, tires flat, oil's leaking out. He slams the inside wall here. Just about gets it.
Now Steve Park reacting. There's all the smoke ahead, and he gets into the back of Robbie Gordon. And around Gordon goes.
There's hardly any single car accidents.
Speed in front of you, Robbie. Speed in front of you. Check out. Stay high. Stay high. Watch your back. Come on. Come on. One car behind you.
Darrell, that's what you said at the top of your day. You got to drive behind you as well as in front of you. On board Sadler.
Hold on to it. Hold on to it. All right, go hard and get it straight. Go hard. Go hard, man. Leader's still behind you. You can fire it up. Side of you now is the leader. Go hard. Go hard.
Trying to stay on the lead lap. Just wouldn't steer. Caution out for the 11th time this afternoon at Bristol. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, presented by UPS.
NASCAR Winston Cup Series on Fox, presented by UPS, is brought to you by Beechwood Aged Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers.
150 laps to go. This is the 11th caution flag of the day. 20 is the record. Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, Dale Earnhardt Jr. pitted, and he said, boys, I really like the way this car is handling. All they did was change tires, no chassis adjustments, no air pressure adjustments, and he said, I've been running this car hard. Jeff Hammond.
Steve, one of the things that some of the guys were concerned about, and I talked to him this morning about this new pit road rule, is that the pit that Dale Earnhardt happens to be in, which is pit number 23 on the backstretch, may actually be the best pit now. In years past, being in pit number 1 was always the best at Bristol. But because of the new rules, that was one of the major concerns. On the other side of the deal, a lot of the guys who wanted to pick that pit were not allowed to by NASCAR. If you qualified in the top 22, you had to pick on the front stretch. So it's very interesting how things are kind of playing out here today.
Jeff, you know, I remember when we had to pick a pit on the back straightaway, we liked that pit because it's like being in the first one on this side, and there was nobody in your way, and you could just shoot out of the pit, come around that corner, and be hauling the mail. Yeah, and
you know, you got to give NASCAR credit for trying to make things better. It's not a disadvantage right now to be on the back stretch, but it makes you wonder if all of a sudden the advantage of having a front stretch pit and being in pit number 1 is what it used to be.
So working under caution as they put Speedy Dry down on the track, blew the track, and continuing to clean up from Elliott Sadler's car, which brought out the 11th caution. You look at Tony Stewart in 3rd place. This caution will allow him a bit of a rest, but Dick Berggren, give us an update.
I'm going to let crew chief Greg Zipadelli do that. Can Tony make it all the way, Greg?
I don't know. His back's really bothering him right now, but this kid's done a great job. Home Depot Pontiac's been running good. Guys in the pits have done a great job keeping us up front, and you know, my hat's off to them. We'll keep our fingers crossed and say our prayers. This kid's tough to get him this far here, but 150 to go is as bad as he's hurting. We're proud of him. We'll just keep working him, keep talking to him, trying to keep coaching him, and keep it off his mind.
They've told him drink as much fluid as he possibly can. He's got a device that helps his back a little bit. They've told him turn it up as high as he can stand it. Will he make it? I'm telling you what, I've been listening to him. He is in serious pain. Tony Stewart in trouble.
I tell you, one of the real losers on this last round of pit stop, Jerry Nadeau. He went from 6th to 14th, but we want to look at it here. What this is the time was spent on pit road. Tony Stewart, 29.7. Jerry Nadeau, 37.1. But the difference was in that pit stop right there, 20.9 to Tony Stewart's 14.3. That's over 5 seconds. Matt Yoakum, they had to have had a problem.
Well, Larry Mack, the problem they had actually when the stop was completed, Jerry dropped the clutch and thought he was going to pull forward. Actually, he started to back up. He grabbed the wrong gear. He grabbed reverse instead of first. DW, that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah, it's easy to do. You're sitting there and you're kind of juking the thing around. It's in neutral and you slam it up in gear and you got it in reverse and you don't know it. Rather embarrassed.
Jeremy Mayfield was the big gainer. He went from 14th to 6th on that round of pit stops. We're under caution. We'll be right back.
Welcome back live to Bristol, Tennessee. Let's take a look at Stacy Compton One of the early casualties here on this tough track, Johnny Benson. This was the 6th caution with a little bump from Sterling Marlin. Jeff Gordon led for a while, but spun out on lap 158. And then Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart with a little tap. Newman coming in 2nd in points. First time racing here in Bristol as a Winston Cup driver. And then again, after Jeff Burton tapped him, spinning out. And then moments ago, Elliott Sadler, who won this race last year, suffering a break in the oil line and currently out of the race, and hoping to bring him back as he is working on his car. His crew is in the pits. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to get Chevy his first victory of the year. You're watching NASCAR Winston Cup racing on Fox, presented by UPS. A lot more to go, so stick around. We're live in Bristol, Tennessee.